Even when only playing one real half of football, thanks a lot, Kevin, the Birds get a win over the Buffalo Bills, a team that many people believe to be a Super Bowl contender, in an epic showdown that came down to a single 2-point conversion attempt. Despite the score, the Eagles brought a beatdown on the Bills in another way. We'll talk about what that was, along with a game recap and takeaways, plus Eagles news and what the Birds are going to do regarding the Week 18 matchup versus the Washington Commanders. Without wasting any more time, let's dive right into it. What's up, y'all, and welcome to 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports needs. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. I am back home from my trip, and it is officially 2026, so I want to wish everyone a happy new year. The Eagles went into Buffalo in monsoon cold-ass conditions with a beat-up offensive line and the worst OC in all of football, and did something that only one other team has done since November of 2023, and that was beat the Buffalo Bills in their own house. The other team, by the way, that was the 13-3 New England Patriots, who did it 2 months ago. I know everyone's going to want to talk about how the Birds didn't have a pass completion or put up any points in the second half, and we'll address that because I do believe that is a problem. But despite the offensive woes for one half of the game, this team did something that's extremely difficult to do against arguably an MVP contender for this year and the reigning league MVP from last year, and that was beat him in his own territory. And honestly, we mainly have the defense to thank for that. I'm not blind to that. But the offense had their contributions as well. Jalen Hurts would go 13 for 27 passing for 110 yards, 1 touchdown pass, and 0 turnovers, along with 5 rushing yards. Not the best game statistically, but hey, he got the job done. A.J. Brown would lead the receiving corps with 68 yards, but it was tight end Dallas Goedert to get the game's lone touchdown pass. On the ground, Saquon Barkley would lead the group with 19 carries for 68 yards. This defense, y'all, showed the fuck up in many ways. Overall, they had 77 total tackles, 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 3 pass deflections, 6 quarterback hits, 1 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 1 blocked field goal. They were only missing an interception to basically have a complete defensive performance. Alright, y'all, before we get into our takeaways, let's talk a little bit of Eagles news. So starting off, in a peculiar move, the Eagles had waived long snapper Charlie Hewlett earlier this week on Monday. The Eagles didn't currently have a long snapper on the active roster after waiving Cal Adamitis once Hewlett came off of IR. However, as of Wednesday, the Birds signed Hewlett back to the practice squad, and to free up a spot on the practice squad, the Birds had released defensive end Titus Leo. Additionally, the NFL announced the Week 18 schedule across the league, and for the Birds, they'll have their final regular season game against Washington this Sunday at 4:25 p.m. on CBS. Additionally, the Commanders announced that they will be starting their third-string quarterback, Josh Johnson, for this game. Alright, y'all, let's look at our takeaways from this Week 17 win, and the first one probably being the most obvious. This offense is infuriatingly inconsistent, and I still believe Kevin Patullo is the root of it all. Every single week I bitch about this because every single week it keeps happening, and I am fucking sick of it at this point. And I know it's not just Kevin Patullo. Nick Sirianni has his fair share of blame. You can blame a little bit on Jalen Hurts, the offensive line, Jeff Stoutland, the run game. No one is innocent, and there is not one sole person to blame for the way this offense has been this year. However, Patullo just cannot, for the life of him, call a complete game, nor do so without any help from Sirianni, and we saw evidence of that again this week. Sirianni even admitted in the post-game press conference that he, quote, should have helped Patullo out more in the second half than he did. And I know I'm paraphrasing the hell out of this quote, but that proves even more what a lot of Eagles fans already know, and that KP just ain't it, and he's a one-half game caller. Whether it be in the first half or the second half, I think we've seen him call like one complete game this season, and that was against the 2-14 Raiders. The first half of this game, though, it wasn't bad. We saw Jalen Hurts under center and make consistent positive decisions, such as hitting his second read when the first read wasn't available. We saw him scramble to make a play. We saw our run game with Saquon looking more like the 2024 self. We had situational awareness on our drives that resulted in key plays down the field, such as the A.J. Brown receptions that would get us either within the 30 or within the red zone. And then when we were in the red zone, we saw strategic play design. Jalen Hurts was under center, Cameron Latu was lined up as a fullback, and Saquon behind him. All the looks of a run play, especially with how we've been doing run plays a lot, I feel like the defense could have easily predicted that. But then we go and pass to a wide open Dallas Goedert for a touchdown. An excellent strategy that put points on the board. Was the first half perfect? No, we had to settle for field goals when we were inside the 30 and inside the 15 on two separate drives. But we put up 13 points against one of the top passing defenses in the league. Then the second half comes. Saquon up the middle, Saquon up the middle, A.J. Brown deep ball. Literally every single drive. It was horrible. It was literally run, pass, punt, run, pass, punt. Every single fucking time. The amount of third and long situations the Eagles put themselves in that half was egregious. Again, blame can go to more than just one person. I understand that, and I'm not ignorant to it. The O-line has been bad, including Cam Jurgens with his weird blocks that are getting consistently beat. Jalen Hurts had that really bad game against the Chargers. The run game hasn't been great most of the season. There's been multiple sources that have led to this less than stellar offensive performance. But I still think our play calling is the root of all this inconsistency and this lackluster play. Our head coach basically admitted that Patullo cannot do his job without help from him, and I'm not even sure how much he's really helping out. Also, Patullo in a press conference admitted that in the second half, they were, quote, doing run plays just for the sake of running it. Like, what the fuck is that, Patullo? That is incompetent thinking, and you got some balls to publicly admit shit like that. But anyways, what I think we've come to realize, and I saw this take on Speakeasy with LaShawn McCoy and Emmanuel Ocho, and that is the offense is not playing to win, but playing just to not lose. They have the capability to play aggressively the entire game, but they just don't. And it's not like the offensive coaching dials things back when the Birds are up by 4 scores. They do it after a half when the team has a lead, regardless of how big or small that lead may be. I'm tired of these half-called games. We play with this mentality of conservation in situations that we don't have the luxury to do so. It almost cost us this game. And it's not like we play conservatively at the same time in each game. It could be at any fucking point in the game where we just play this monotonous, safe play football, whatever you want to call it. The only thing that has been consistent is the inconsistency. Listen, I'm grateful for the win and I'm grateful for the record we have. But the Eagles are held to a higher standard as the reigning Super Bowl champs, and whenever the Birds fuck up, the entire world loves to vocalize their negative opinions, so you can't blame us as Eagles fans for thinking the way we do when we see a team with such great capabilities be held back by powers beyond their control, aka that coordinating crew. I'm just hoping we're dialing up big plays for the playoffs, because this level of inconsistency and half-game play calling is just unsustainable. My second takeaway from this game is that Bills head coach Sean McDermott is still a hypocrite. So the Bills head coach Sean McDermott was one of the biggest advocates in banning the tush push before this season in the NFL owners meeting or whatever it was, citing player safety as his reason to ban it, even though statistically the Bills ran the play the second most out of any team in 2024. So that alone made him a hypocrite before the season even started. But in this game, guess what both of Josh Allen's rushing touchdowns were against us? Fucking tush pushes. Was it exactly like the Eagles tush push? No, but it was extremely fucking similar. Bills fullback Reggie Gilliam literally put hands to ass on Josh Allen for both of their touchdowns. So I don't want to hear shit from McDermott at the next annual meeting when the inevitable tush push ban vote proposal will occur. You cannot advocate to ban a play for reasons of player safety and then do the exact same play with your own team with your 6'5" quarterback with an O-line that had already allowed 5 sacks on Allen earlier that game. It's hypocrisy at its finest. Without that play, those touchdowns are gone and the Birds would have shut out the Bills. So I better not hear jack shit from McDermott about the tush push ban and player safety next season. And my last takeaway from this game is that we have a championship defense. Listen, we've seen awesome defensive performances this year, such as when we held Detroit to just 9 points, Green Bay to 7, or we held the Raiders to no points and put up 31 on the ass. But this game just hits different. You can say what you want about the Bills receiving core that Josh Allen has to work with. It isn't the most star-studded group, but the team was 11-4 going into this game with their help, and the team had 25 receiving touchdowns, which is up within the top 10 for quarterbacks. So I don't want to hear arguments that Josh Allen has no one to pass to. This defense has been lights fucking out, and just when I think we've seen it all, they show more of what they've been hiding. This was one of, if not the best, defensive performances from the Eagles this year. What I liked about the defense in this game specifically is just the pure physicality that we saw. The score might not have reflected it, but they beat down the Bills offense. Like, it was fucking lights out for them. From the hard hits to the 5 sacks on Josh Allen to the effort from not only Jahad Campbell on his fumble recovery, but with Cooper DeJean just decking a lineman to get a ball thought to have been fumbled by running back James Cook before it was ruled down by contact. This defense did not hold back. This game really showed how powerful this defense can be because of how well multiple individuals played. You had Cooper DeJean with 9 tackles, Marcus Epps with 9 tackles and a tackle for loss, Jalix Hunt with 7 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks, Jalen Phillips with 6 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss, Jalen Carter, 1 tackle, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 1 QB hit, 1 pass deflection, and 1 blocked field goal. You also had Moro Ojomo with 3 tackles, a sack, and a tackle for loss. Zach Bond with 6 tackles, Reed Blankenship with 5. The list goes fucking on and on. And this was all against the second best rushing offense, which were held to like 74 yards, at least James Cook was, and the 5th best overall offense in the league. Sometimes you see great defenses with anywhere from like 2, 4, maybe even 5 truly impactful players on their defense. But this team's got anywhere from like 8 to 10 impact players on the field at one time. And another thing that makes this defense a championship one, and we saw it in this game, is that they have the endurance and the stamina to be on the field for long periods of time. We've seen this defense be on the field for as long as 42, 43, 44 minutes a game and still hold off opposing teams enough for the Birds to get the win. I'll be real. The defense has bailed out the offense this game, and it hasn't been the first time they needed to do so. In fact, they've had to do it multiple times this season, and that should be seen as a dangerous thing for opposing offenses. After this game, this defense ranks within the top 3 in red zone defense in points allowed and is the best pass defense in completion percentage allowed and tied for the fewest passing TDs allowed amongst other accolades. The only big thing that I didn't like about our defense this game was the amount of single big yard gains they allowed in the passing game. They allowed a 50-yard pass to Brandon Cooks, a 32-yard pass to Tyrell Shavers, and a 21-yard pass to Ty Johnson, with 262 total passing yards allowed by the Eagles secondary. They clean that up though, and things will go up from there. If this defense keeps things going the way they did from this week, I believe that they can get as far in the playoffs maybe even as far as a Super Bowl. All right, y'all, before we wrap things up this week, let's look at this Week 18 matchup. So, the Birds will host the Washington Commanders for the second time in 3 weeks, this time at home for the final regular season game, and it'll be a Kelly Green game as well. The Commanders announced that they're going with their third-string quarterback to start the game, with Jaden Daniels being shut down for the season and Marcus Mariota dealing with injuries. The Commanders are eliminated from playoff contention and are only playing to essentially keep the Birds at the 3 seed. However, with an Eagles win and a Chicago loss, the Birds would move up to the 2 seed and have a better chance at hosting multiple playoff home games throughout the playoffs, something that the Birds thrived on last year. However, with no chance at the 1 seed, the team does have the chance to sit the starters to allow them to have a bye week like the 1 seed would, similar to what they did at the end of the season against the Giants last year. Chicago plays at the same time that the Birds do, and they play the Lions, so there isn't a chance for the Birds to see how Chicago is doing before their own game. And at first, there was no confirmation of whether or not Sirianni made a decision to keep or rest the starters. However, as of Wednesday morning, in a report from Jeff McClain of the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Eagles are expected to rest quarterback Jalen Hurts and other key starters. Now, we don't know who these other key starters are, but if we're looking at this game like the Birds treated Week 18 last year, I imagine that we'll see second and third stringers across all the positions for the majority of the snaps in the game. Now, you can look at this decision a couple of ways. You could look at it as the Birds just settling for the 3 seed and not even taking a chance to go for the 2 seed, which would be on par with how the Eagles offense have played in various halves of games across the season. Or you could look at it like the Birds are getting an early start on preparing for the playoffs, which is how I'm looking at it. Now, let's look at the past few seasons, between 2022 and 2024. Now, in the 2022 season, we were the 1 seed and had the automatic bye and went to the Super Bowl. In the 2024 season, we were the 2 seed but rested our starters in Week 18 and went to the Super Bowl. Now let's look at that 2023 season, the one we all love to forget. The Eagles did not rest their starters in Week 18, and that game ended up with the Birds getting the 5 seed, and we lost A.J. Brown to injury. And we all know how that next game, the wild card against the Bucs at Tampa, turned out to be. So now let's look back at this season. We're either getting the 2 seed or the 3 seed, but either way, we start the playoffs with a home game. That is a big deal. So, with this situation, it kind of makes sense to rest our starters and have them spend their time evaluating, healing from any injury that they might be dealing with under the radar, and preparing for the playoffs, which currently we would either play the Rams or the Packers, depending on the outcome of this weekend. Doing this also keeps our starters safe and more focused on the more important games ahead. Additionally, if this offensive coaching staff is smart, I think that resting our starters and this Week 18 game gives the Birds offense a fantastic opportunity. And what I mean by that is, even though it would be with the second stringers and depth players, this gives them an opportunity to play a game without playing it safe. Basically, playing like we did against the Raiders with all those play calls. You can test out those risky back of the playbook plays and see if they work. Because again, no matter the outcome of this game, the Birds will start a playoff game at home. Other teams across the league have pretty much caught on with how our offense operates, which is basically with inconsistency. However, we could use that to our advantage. We can take this game to play outside of our safety net, which again is just basically playing to not lose, and we actually play to win. This game can give the Birds a chance to test out boundaries or limitations of certain players. It could give the Birds a chance to be creative, test out their creativity, and see what works and doesn't work without having to risk that in the first game of the playoffs. I'd rather the Birds test things out and then it go horribly wrong in Week 18 that doesn't keep us out of the playoffs, than have them try to do that in the playoffs in a win or go home situation. I think it would be a wasted opportunity by the team's offensive coaching staff to not try things outside of the box in this game, saving any sense of creativity for the playoffs. I can understand wanting to keep the element of surprise in the playoffs, but there's a chance that you try new things out in the playoff game and it go wrong, and then we can't do anything about it. But if we do that in week 18, no harm, no foul. Overall, I think that it's smart that the Birds go with the depth squad for this game, but I think it would be even smarter if the Birds take a chance to change things up completely for this offense. This is the last shot for this team to do so before the playoffs, and if they don't even try something new or creative on just even one play, then it only fuels the fire for more reasons to let Patullo go before the start of next season. Alright y'all, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at 2nd and 15 or by the full name 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts, with the video uploading to YouTube later that same day. This episode, 2nd and 15, and Old City Sports Network are brought to you by Chickies and Pete's Drexel Hill. Voted #1 sports bar in North America by ESPN, check out the Drexel Hill location of Chickies and Pete's. From buffalo wings and snow crab to lobster cheesesteak and burgers, you can find something that you love at Chickies and Pete's. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is 2nd and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast powered by Old City Sports Network. Don't forget to check out the game this Sunday afternoon at 4:25 on CBS. We will see you all next week. Please have a safe and happy new year. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle. And as always, go Birds!